Hi everybody. I want to share with you my thoughts on the ultimate sanding kit from Woodturners Wonders. Hi, my name's Larry Randolph and I'm the Missouri Turner. Well, at least that's what my channel is here on YouTube. Not because I'm the only wood turner in the state of Missouri, but because the URL, Larry Randolph, was already spoken for. So I had to get creative. So, about the sanding kit. Before I started using this kit from Woodturners Wonders, I was constantly changing sanding discs from one pad to the other. And you know what happens over time? The pad starts to wear out and you end up having to replace it before you really should. And when you're constantly changing the discs, it's easy to drop them in the chips and to get them dirty. And then it's a lot harder to get them to stick to the hook and loop, you know. So sanding discs aren't free. So I wanted to find a better solution, and I think I found that. I've been using this system for about 4 years, maybe even longer, and I believe it's improved my sanding skills. I'll learn to speak English one of these days. That's right, it's a skill. Just like my bow staff skills, my square dancing skills, and it's definitely improved the life of my sandpaper. Before you ask, yes, I can square dance. The answer is no, I won't on camera. No, it's improved the life of my sandpaper, and now I can use these sanding discs to hold one piece of paper, and it doesn't wear out the paper nearly as quickly. So you don't get the back of the discs dirty when you drop them in the chips. They stay on the pad. Now, this system has a roll-lock type system where you just twist it on and twist it off. And I always use an electric angle drill or a pneumatic orbit sander, but that's a different video. I may come out with one here in the future where I actually show you how I use these in sanding a piece. Now, by using this roll-lock mandrel, you're ready to change from your 60 grit gouge to your next grit. You just simply twist it off and twist the next grit on. You know, maybe that ought to be a song. Come on, baby, let's do the twist. That's not square dancing. Anyway, it's seriously simple. Use a sanding disc, change a sanding disc. Use a sanding pad, change a sanding pad. It's simply that easy. Now, Ken Rizza, who owns Woodturners Wonders, shared an idea of his with his customers a few years back, and I ran with it back then. But when I renovated my studio, I ended up breaking the pegboard that it was built on. So just the other day, I made another one to hang here on my wall. You see it behind me. And I'll show you how I did that. I just started with a 15/16 drill bit and opened up the holes in the pegboard just a little bit. This allows enough room for the sanding pad to get tooth, and then it just self-taps whenever you press in the middle and twist it on. Now for the 3-inch discs, I drilled every 5th peg hole, and then again just held the pad in the middle and screwed it on. It'll get tooth and it'll do it all on its own. Now I've gone a little overboard as I have all of these grits on this board. I've got 80, 600, 400, 320, 240, 180, 150, 120, 100, 80, 60, and then rocks. Now this gives me all the different options I might need when sanding. And sometimes I find, particularly with really hard woods like an exotic or really punky spalted woods, that old rule of thumb simply doesn't work for me. You know, skip by 50% and go to the next grit, like 80, 120, 180. So in other words, 80, then half of that is 40. 80 and 40 is 120. You use that grit. Then 120, half of that is 60. Add it back to itself. That's 180. But what I found is when you get to the finer grits, like 240 or 320, that sometimes I find scratches from those previous coarser grits that I couldn't see until I got to a finer finish. And then you have to back all the way up and start over. So I often just take a little more time and go through the grits a little closer. Now, I'd love to tell you that my turning is so good that I always start with 180 or 220, but it's simply just not the truth. And I believe firmly that this is one of the biggest myths or legends that wood turners tell. You know, they start with 180 and they catch fish that are bigger than the frame of the camera. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. I don't always buy that. Now, certainly there are turners, and I know a few, that have that fine of a quality cut, but not maybe as many as claim it. So the reason why I say that is if you're a new turner, don't be concerned that you should be starting with 180 grit sandpaper. Don't let it keep you from making things. Most turners out there don't always start with that 180 grit. Think of it like this. Sandpaper is just another tool. So let's just say I start with 80, and many times I'll move slowly, like particularly on those real dense woods or the real punky woods, and I'll start with 80, then go to 100, then go to 120, then go to 150, 180, and 240 is normally where I stop for functional items like a salad bowl that's going to be a daily user and that's going to frequently get washed. They're easily repaired if you're using mineral oil, walnut oil, or any of those other penetrating oils that are going to make for a good food finish. If the owner wants to go back and take out some of the scuffs with 220 or 240 sandpaper, then they can at any one time, and then they can reapply that oil. Now, if I'm working on a much finer piece, maybe something that I want to put a lacquer or a poly, something like that on, then often I'll go on 320 to 400, and then even sometimes 600 and 800. Beyond that, I might burnish with, I've got some 1000, but I might burnish with a brown paper grocery sack. But that's only for something that I want to really fine polish on. So it's easy to do all of that with the Ultimate Sanding Kit. So take a look at the Ultimate Sanding Kit from Woodturners Wonders. I firmly believe it's the best sanding tool that I've invested in. Now, there are a lot of sanding solutions out there, and I know that many people will use different things. Now, I prefer what's hanging on the wall here behind me. The sandpaper that I get from Ken Rizza at Woodturners Wonders is what he calls the Remover Smoother. It's an aluminum oxide grit, and I find that it works really well. It's a little bit oversized by about 1/4 of an inch bigger than the size of the pad. I like to have just a little bit of extra room, and then I don't worry about scuffing the turning with the edge there. There are many other options that he offers, and certainly any 3-inch disc that you get out on the market would work with this system. So I hope you'll take the time to subscribe. I hope you'll take the time to subscribe to my channel, and don't forget to click on that little bell icon, and it'll let you know the next time that I have a video up. So anyway, my thoughts. I was not paid or endorsed. I have done some work for Ken Rizza in the past with video, but this is not an endorsed video. This is just one of his products that I think is absolutely a fabulous product. Take a look at it. The links will be below. Bye-bye. Oh, good grief, I got to learn to speak English.